Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a first impression tutorial using the Bad Habit Cult Mania eyeshadow palette, which is supposed to be a dupe for the Pat McGrath Mothership 5 palette. So the palette itself comes in a matching unicarton. It's heavy, it's very sturdy. I really like the design on the front of it. It has the shade names on the back, and not only that, but the shade names are actually printed inside of the palette on the actual packaging itself. Now, it did come with a little plastic sheet inside of it that says, "Welcome to Mania. These 10 shadows feature 2 unique formulas, 6 luxuriously smooth pressed powder shades, and 4 silky baked powder shades infused with a dash of cream." So again, there's 2 different formulas here. There are the pressed powders, and it says, "Apply using a brush for best blendability. For a more intense payoff, use a dampened brush." And then the baked powder formula says, "For maximum payoff and shine, apply using a finger." So let me get my eyes primed and set down some powder to catch fallout, and we'll dive right in. So I am primed, powdered, and ready to go. I'm going to start with the shade Somatic, and I'm just going to kind of set my brow bone with that. This one almost kind of looks like a bone color, but when you press it in, it actually has a really reflective gold kind of shimmer to it. So I feel like this is going to be kind of an intense brow bone highlight, but I don't mind that. So let's go ahead and start building up the crease. I'm going to use the shade Volatile on a Morphe M573. And I'm just going to start by packing that into the crease area. So there isn't necessarily like a transition shade in this palette. Yeah, that definitely has some immediate color payoff. Let me take a closer look and see. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of fallout, if any. There's definitely some kick up in the pan, but as long as you tap the excess off of your brush, there doesn't seem to be a lot of fallout on the face yet. That doesn't mean that that's not going to happen with some of the other shades, but so far, the Volatile shade does not seem to be offensive in the fallout category. So now I'm going to take a clean brush. This is a Morphe R40, which is just like a larger version of the one that I just used to pack that color on. And then I'm going to go in and just kind of smooth out and blend out that harsh line. And it's funny because this is the first time that I ever bought anything from the Hush app. Like, they have a lot of brands that you've heard of, but a lot of it is just like these kind of cheaper, lesser known. And again, like the Bad Habit brand, I guess, is more known for like their dupes of other palettes and other makeup brands. That just blended out so fucking good and so easily. So I actually re-downloaded the Hush app just so that I could go on, there and buy this palette. So now basically I'm gonna take whatever's left on this M573 and I'm gonna start to kind of smoke out the lower lash line a little bit. But I really like to smoke out my under eye. And I do that in my real life a lot, but I feel like for my videos, I usually take it down a little bit lower because it reads better on camera this way. But even in real life now, I'm really having to smoke out my lower lash line a lot more. But I've lost a lot of filler in my tear trough on this side, and I'm definitely on the outside edge here starting to get a little hollow again. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill that hole in with some eyeshadow, and we'll just kind of keep smoking it out more and more until I can afford to get some more under eye filler. Have any of you guys ever used any products from this brand, or do any of you guys shop on the Hush app? It's kind of like that Shop Miss A site where everything is just so ridiculously cheap that I just kind of like, I look for a second and then I'm like, this stuff isn't going to be any good. It's just way too cheap to be good. And then I'm sure that there's like some hidden gems on there too that people really love that I just don't know about. What do you guys think that I should try out or use on my channel from any of those sites? Let me know down below because I will definitely check them out. Now, I don't know how much different the shade Madness is going to be from Volatile because they seem to be very similar in the palette. But I'm going to go ahead and take that on a Morphe M330 and just kind of stamp that into the crease and see if that makes any kind of a difference or if it's just kind of more of the same. Let's see into that. Yeah, I guess that did deepen it up a little bit more. I think a lot of people just like having everything in one palette, where again, I don't mind having to reach into another palette or pull out a single black shadow to kind of add some more depth and some more dimension, but I feel like a lot of people kind of complain if there isn't a black in a palette. And then I'm just gonna stamp that same color into my lower lash line. This is a Morphe E36. It's just a really cheap pencil brush. And we can blend this out a little bit, but I just want to kind of get it put into place first. And just kind of blend that down a little bit more. And still just kind of like packing the color in and kind of stamping it in, but just kind of starting to stamp down a little bit lower. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into the shade Insomnia. I'm gonna use the same M330 that I used to apply Madness, and I'm actually just gonna pack that into the same area. I'm just gonna kind of keep that a little bit more on the outer corner and in the crease, just to deepen that up and add a little bit of that purple tone along with the browns that we already have going on in there. Guys, I'm obsessed with this palette. I feel like as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm gonna go back onto the Hush app and order all of the other palettes that I wanted that I wasn't quite sure about. I feel like at this point, everybody's eyeshadow formula is really good. I mean, even Wet n Wild has really good eyeshadow. So I feel like it's hard to find, not that I'm looking for a bad eyeshadow, but I feel like it's really rare anymore that you find an eyeshadow that totally sucks. And honestly, even if you find an eyeshadow formula that's subpar, if you know how to work with it, I feel like you can really make anything work. And I definitely prefer something like this that's like a super dark matte purple or a dark matte green, like a super dark matte shadow that has a little bit of a different tone to it rather than just black to smoke out a look. I think that you can get the same effect smoking out an eyeshadow look and creating just as much drama with a dark purple eyeshadow as you can with a black eyeshadow and not get the same kind of harshness that you can get from a black, you know what I mean? And then I'm gonna go into the shade Outrage, and I am gonna go ahead and start with a brush. Now, it did say to apply this with a finger, but I just wanna see how it applies with a brush first, and then we'll go over it with a finger. I kind of wanted to lay that down with a brush first because I wanted to get a little bit of a blend, just a little bit closer to that outer V there. Putting that on with the brush first kind of keeps it a little bit less intense on that outer part there and just kind of makes it easier to blend into a matte shadow. Whereas if I had gone in with my finger and just really laid it down, you're gonna have a little bit more trouble blending that in. And you can always go back in with more. And I think I am gonna go back in with more on my finger. I'm gonna press that into the center of the lid. And we do get more intensity there, so. I haven't even wet this shadow. I didn't put down a sticky base. This is just on top of blended out eyeshadow, and it seems to be working really well. So now I'm gonna go into the shade that actually made me really want this palette in the first place. It's a shade down here called Hysteria, which is not only a Def Leppard album, but it's also this really awesome, it's hard to describe, it's like a green, pink, iridescent kind of shift. Pressing that on the center of the lid, and again, this is a dry finger on a dry base. It really does give it quite a bit of payoff, more than I really thought it was going to. I need this as like a single shadow because I'm gonna go through this one really quick. I always say I'm gonna go through something really quick and then I never fucking do. I'm a liar. So let's go in with my trusty NYX glitter primer. I'm gonna start putting that glitter primer right on the inside of the upper lid. Just kind of lightly patting to blend that glitter primer out a little bit here. I'm not taking it all the way across. I'm not completely covering what I've already laid down because I want that to be what it is already. And then on a brush, I'm just gonna press that shade right over top of the glitter primer. And that's just intensifying that same shade even more. So see how it's a little bit more intense on that inner part and then kind of gradually loses some intensity as it blends into that reddish shade. God, look at that color. There's no way that looks as good on camera as it looks in real life. But that's probably my favorite eyeshadow color I've ever put on my eyes. I'm not even kidding. It's so good. Go ahead and pop some Coffee eyeliner by MAC on my waterline, just kind of darken everything up, but again, not have the harshness that a black would have on the eyes. This pencil is actually so freaking sharp that I really need to be careful. So then the last shade that I'm gonna use from this palette today is the shade Frenzy, and I'm actually gonna use that on the inner corner, and I'm gonna put it right over top of the NYX glitter primer just to give it even more intensity than it already has in the pan. Now these colors actually remind me of the MAC Dazzle shadows, but I think I like these a little bit more, to tell you the truth. Go ahead and just lightly powder the center of my forehead again, because as far as foundation went today, I used the Bare Minerals original foundation, the loose powder foundation, which I like, it's fine. But I actually bought it just for recording videos, just so I could have something to throw on my face really quick before I started filming. And this stuff definitely does not last on my face all day, so. But I like the way it looks. I like the way it looks on my skin, but it just breaks down really quickly on me. And so then that shade Somatic that I use to highlight my brow bone, I actually want to use that as a face highlighter just to see what that looks like. I'm going to use the Sigma tapered highlighter. This is the F35. Just kind of see what that looks like on the cheekbone. I think it has a little bit more pop on my eyelid than it has on my cheekbone. But again, I think it could be buildable. And maybe if I applied it with my finger, we'll do that too. Start by lightly pressing on both sides. Yeah, I think that definitely gives it a little bit more intensity on the cheekbones by pressing it in with a finger. Pressing this onto my forehead, just kind of in the areas that are a little bit more pronounced and tend to get a little bit more shiny anyway. A little bit on the tip of my nose because I like how that looks too. Yeah, so I think that's it. Let me go ahead and finish my lashes and my lips really quick off camera, and I'll be right back with the final look. Okay, and that was my first tutorial using the Bad Habit Cult Mania eyeshadow palette. And my first impression is, this palette is really fucking good. The colors are really pigmented, they're creamy, they're blendable, they worked so easily, they blended out themselves. It's almost the way that, you know, like the good Anastasia shadows, how they kind of just blend themselves out and you don't really have to work to get a good look. That's exactly how these performed. These are definitely up at the top tier level for me as far as quality, color selection. Again, there's 4 other palettes in this collection. So I'm gonna go onto the Hush app and I'm gonna order the other few that I was really interested in. Definitely expect to see more looks from me using this palette. Not only here, but definitely on my Instagram page. And if you're not following me there will be a link down in the description box. So go ahead and follow my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.